Hello and welcome to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 6:09 p.m. here on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, about 73 degrees out, bright and shiny. So,
I think you need to check
In what parallel universe are you living in today?
it's cold, rainy, snowy, slushy, and there's accidents everywhere tonight. If you got a traffic update on what road to avoid, please give us a call, 304-214-1600.
You know, we actually ran into rain, snow, and sleet on the way here. It was weird. We actually ran into all three.
Wow.
It was a very eventful drive over.
Nick, it was an adventure.
Well,
There was car
you guys
wrecks.
set up by Ogilvy
Yes.
that it was bad.
Well, we were going to go over Ogilvy because Jordan's ritual before the show is he has to have chocolate milk. So you see the little mini jug that Jordan has if you're on the camera. You see the mini jug sitting in its rightful place.
I'm a very superstitious guy. I can't help it.
You know, and it's something that was important that he needed to have. We were going to go over Ogilvy, over the hill, and we go that way, and someone stops us. They're saying someone's hit a tree, and there's wrecks all over the place. So we have to go forward because Jordan can't pass it up since he's an EMT.
Well, I'm just EMS. I'm not an EMT yet.
Well, what's the difference? I never knew there was a difference.
EMT is licensed.
And EMS is?
I just run in the back of the ambulance and go, woo, woo.
Someone has to do that. So there was a head-on collision, and
Yeah, there was
someone
some
else,
dirty stuff, so I had to
someone
go
slid
and
off.
check it out.
It was pretty bad. So we turned around and went the other way after we got done with there. So it was pretty bad all the way over.
Well, I just came from 15 and so it wasn't bad. But don't
mass
tell me
hysteria
that.
or
Huh?
mass hysteria?
No.
Mobs in the street protesting the
all
snow?
those people, they skinny out the minute a snowflake falls. They just. No, I shouldn't say that.
Well, North
My
Carolina,
boss is still there working.
if there's nothing on the ground in North Carolina but it's snowing,
yeah.
people go off the side of the road.
Oh, I know.
They're like, well, I can't drive in this. It's snowing.
Well, my mom, who lives down in South Carolina, said, what was it? If it even says it's going to rain, the entire town shuts down, or snow, the whole town shuts down. They all close.
There's a rush on bread and milk. And
I think it's a giant conspiracy between the weather forecasters and like grocery stores, bread and milk producers, because then they put this scare out and everybody runs out and buys bread and milk, and then we inevitably don't get what they say we're going to get.
Oh, well, the weatherman, it's the only job where you can get, you can be wrong 70% of the time and still keep your job. You know?
The other is be a CEO of one of the car companies, and, you've got it made.
how can I get either one of those jobs?
I know.
Yeah.
Would be nice.
So, Jordan,
So is this technically the fantasy football show right now?
Yes.
I just want to say before we go on,
Tony Romo's back, and my team is winning. Go ahead.
I made a very bad choice.
What's that?
All right, I had Drew Brees or Jay Cutler. Now, Jay Cutler was playing Oakland. Drew Brees, Monday night, playing Green Bay. I thought, Oakland, horrible team. They killed them the first time. Drew Brees killed them. I see points. So I say, hey, I'm playing Jay Cutler.
All right, can we take a poll real quick before Nick finishes his sentence, Lola? Do we want to hear about fantasy football?
All right, Jay Cutler sucks. That's my story.
Because I'm raising my hand for not right now.
I'm sorry. I've been lamenting this decision all weekend. I just wanted to whine a little bit.
I've actually run the board for the fantasy football show a couple times, and I marvel that Eric, my son, will call me long distance to ask, should I trade this guy or not? It's like, hard enough time
People that
keeping
play
track of real football, let alone fantasy
the thing
football.
about fantasy football is, if you're playing it, you watch all the games and you're very interested in it, and all of a sudden it becomes an obsession because if you make a bad decision, it haunts you. People mock you. It's bad.
They mock you.
They do. They mocked me on my board.
Yeah, we make fun of Nick all the time.
I make the worst decisions. I'm the commissioner of the league. I'm horrible.
Well, join the club. That's, you just put yourself up in that category. You don't have to be right.
That's right.
You're the commissioner.
I'm changing the rules.
They do. They do.
I will.
So.
Well, he does every now and then. He says, I need an extra day just in case.
That is not
we'll play one more game just in case Nick might win one and get up to playoff position.
That's the conspiracy, my friend.
Oh, my.
All right,
I am the commish.
the commish. Quick announcement. This is for KSWA. I guess that's amateur wrestling. They are having a crazy fan fest on Saturday, December 6th at 7:30 p.m. $5 a ticket. The KSWA asks all fans to donate an unwrapped new toy to the Holiday Project. Allegheny County Department of Human Resources. Donations will go to abused children in the county. And they're having the event in Lawrenceville, at the Lawrenceville Moose at 120 51st Street in Pittsburgh. And the number is 412-726-1762.
That's
If
great.
anybody-
You can go and watch a bunch of crazy people jump around a ring and help some kids out, too, while you're at it.
There's nothing better.
I had a friend that
Absolutely.
was I don't know what you would call whoever's over the
commish?
Yeah.
He's the commish. The commish is a great job. But he was over. He actually, when in high school, people would make fun of him because he was obsessed with wrestling. He knew all about it. And I'm not talking Greco-Roman. I'm talking
like
with the
WWF
chairs, yes.
and all that kind of
and
stuff.
his
yeah.
dream was
now, Mean Gene?
yeah, and his dream was to run one, and he did. He made a lot of money. People would pay that would make fun of him to go to his wrestling events.
Yeah.
And he rubbed it in their face. And I told him, you know what? You should be proud of doing that.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
He does. He made his own ring, and next thing you know, he was a big shot down in North Carolina. He'd come out. He had this cane that he'd walk out with a big jewel on it.
Kind of like Flava Flav.
He was. And he was.
That's fine. I'd
He was
like to go
macking
to
it.
an amateur wrestling. Yeah, I might go to that. It's a Saturday. So.
You gonna sign up for it? I'm sure they probably have like.
You can see me out there trying to wrestle some big guys.
I saw you on TV.
I wanna say
well, not
we were-
you. You were in a corner and couldn't see you, but I did see you.
What?
I saw your
parade.
band in the parade.
Oh yeah, we were actually going to have our guitar player come on tonight, but he is up on 88 towards West Liberty, and he's stuck there.
He ain't coming over 88 today. Nobody. is.
Well, call in. I'll lock you in, and you can join the conversation.
Yeah, we could have had a call in.
That's right. But the
Why don't we think of these things? We're on
because
the
Lola
radio.
doesn't babysit us all the time.
Where were you, Lola, when we needed answers?
But just in case anybody out there did see the Wheeling Christmas Parade, the band West Finley, who played the Christmas song on the Spiro Academy float.
That's what it was, Spiro Academy. Somebody was trying to remember what the name was, and I remember seeing. And I was looking for you. I was sure it was you guys, but you were back in this one corner closest to where the TV camera
We
was.
put Jordan
so
in
you
the corner.
couldn't see you.
Yeah,
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
they put baby in the corner this time. We actually have a show December
We do.
2nd.
Oh, the band does.
The band.
I thought you were referring to tonight.
We are on. Good job,
December
Jordan.
2nd, up in West Liberty State College in the Student Union.
Good.
So check it out. And then we have a CD release party December 16th in St. Clairsville, Ohio at Harbor of Hope. So if you enjoyed the parade, said, hey,
CD
Oh,
that's a good-looking percussion player. You know, I bet I'd like to talk to him. You know,
Or if you just
Yeah,
want to
all you single,
if you just want to see what Jordan looks like and
All
wonder,
you single women
can he
out
be
there.
a wrestler?
like what would he look like wrestling? Could
Now,
you
see, before we came over, we were trying to move a stone table. And Jordan, how well did you move the table?
Like, okay, my stepmom has this table, and it's like pure limestone. The thing weighs like 1,000,000 pounds, but it's just this little table. You can't move it. It takes people, a lot of people to get this thing
Person.
moved. So she's got it up, and she's like, hey, guys, I just need you to slide this across the floor. Well, I'm like bouncing off the thing trying to push it. Nick walks up, and he's like, all right, get me mad. So, I call him a couple names. He goes, "Arr!" And he pushes the thing across the floor by himself. It's ridiculous.
You see how he said people, and then he said Nick? Now, I do encompass two people.
Nick could be a wrestler.
Oh gosh, I would pay to see
I
that.
don't even know what I'd call myself.
Little Nicky.
Yeah, there we go.
Show him your mean face, Nick. Show Lola your mean.
Yeah. I'm glad we don't have a
Oh,
camera.
that was worth a TV shot, I can tell you.
I'd have to wear a mask. I'd be Kane.
Oh my.
All right, give us a call, everybody. 214-1600. Out of the area, 514 or 866-514-1600. Give us a call. We got a little bit of stuff to give away.
Yeah.
What do we have left
do.
over there, anyways? I was trying to listen to you before the show.
And we're
but
not going to make you jump through hoops to do it or anything like that.
It depends on how bored I am.
Oh, I see. This is our Thanksgiving gift to you.
We got Carmike Cinema tickets, 2 of them. Photo packages at
Absolute Serenity.
It's
been a while.
We got a few pizzas from Da Vinci's Pizza, and we still got a massage left.
Wow.
We still have a massage.
You don't want to pass up that massage.
It's a shame. Call us in, say hi, say happy Thanksgiving.
It's cold
to Lola.
outside.
Yeah.
You need a massage.
Come on, somebody call.
Here's
Pamper
something.
yourself.
Here's something I want to talk about, and this is something I found out last night. There is something we had it in Pittsburgh. It was called the Bodies Expedition. Okay, I'll get.
Oh,
phone
we're
call.
going to talk about the bodies?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's
The
take
bodies
these phone
in
calls
Pittsburgh.
here.
Phone
Oh,
Someone's
you,
thinking,
that's
what the
right. You
heck?
don't know how to do this yet.
I'm a newbie.
Hi, you're on the air.
Yes.
Hello.
Are you with me? Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
This is George from St. C.
Hi, George from St. C.
Hey, the traffic is bad. Weather is bad. We've got 40 backed up about 2 miles
Oh, jeez.
right here going into St. C.
Oh man.
Real wintry weather.
Don't tell me that. I have to go grocery shopping after we get off the air. Oh.
Well, you don't want to go to St. Clairsville.
All righty. Well,
No,
Traffic's
thing.
going about 15 miles an hour.
Is there an accident on the road? Can you see, or is it?
No, it's backed up to the west or to the east, going westbound, and I'm going right by everybody. I mean, it's not, just because
It's
the people
yeah.
aren't prepared for it, I guess. Bad tires or, just cautious driving, but maybe extra cautious driving.
Well, that's good. I'd rather have them go slow because of that than, an accident or something.
Right.
So, okay, well, hold on, George, and I'll get your information, okay?
Okay.
Thanks, George.
All right, thanks.
What was he wanting to so we can mark it off?
Well, let's give him some Carmike tickets.
Okay, we'll give him cards. He's in St. Clairsville. We're heading
Yeah.
that way.
This is Sue on this line.
Hi, Sue.
Hello, Sue.
Hey, Sue.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. What you got for us?
Sorry.
You have anything you want to talk about?
Not really. Just the Kroger's is packed tonight. If you're going shopping, you can't get in the lot.
Oh, Lola is wanting to go grocery
So
shopping
now
too.
the roads are bad and Kroger's is busy and Lola's getting more sad.
She's got a huge frown on her face. It's depressing.
Would you like a prize?
Yes, I would.
We have.
Let's give her a pizza.
You want a pizza?
Okay. Do you have any more cinnamon tickets?
No, those were actually our only movie tickets.
Oh.
For right now, we got to get some more.
Okay.
Get a pizza from Da Vinci's Pizza. How about
Okay.
that?
That's fine.
You want to pick them up, or you want to get give your information to Lola so we can send them to you?
How about sending?
Okay. You just
Lola
hang on the
will take
line,
your information.
and Lola will take care of you.
Okay. Thank you.
Be careful out there.
Okay, now.
Kroger's is
Yeah, I
backed
got to
up.
teach you how to do this.
I know.
Huh? What?
Sue is on the line for you to get the
Yes,
information.
and Dana is on the line for you.
Oh, well, let's make a trade.
Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Dana.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
Cold. How are you?
Warm.
You got to stay away from the outside.
I know. I was just calling with. I heard that guy that was going down 40, and there is a car off the side of the road turned around on 40.
Oh, there is. So there is an accident on 40.
Yeah. So they're flipped around, and everybody's going about 10 miles down the road.
Now that's bad to hear. So,
Yep.
Oh, you got really loud there.
You got right. Sounds like you're in a crowd there, actually.
I am at Melman's.
Oh. Have anything good to eat?
I don't know. They have a lot of stuff. They have prime rib, ham.
Okay, Dana, then just get something to go and come on back here, and you can pick up your prize and drop off our food. Is that a good trade?
Lola's trying to avoid the grocery store.
Absolutely.
Well, Dana,
Yes.
how about a massage? You want a massage?
I would love a massage.
I'd love to give you. Well, I don't want to say that. I get in trouble.
All right, let's take Jordan off the air.
Oh, see how these guys are.
Oh, see what
And you have to deal with it, huh?
I know it. Well, hold on, Dana, and I'll get your last name, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Now, this is Randy.
Hello, Randy.
Hi, guys.
Now, good. Yourself?
Okay, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Gobbler Day to you, too.
Yeah. What are you guys planning to do? Spending with family, right?
I have 3 different dinners that I have to go to over the next 2 days.
That sounds like a heck of an obligation.
You know,
I only have 2.
I have to work it
I
out.
hope you can meet up to that.
The only thing I'm worried about, I guess, is the roads. I'm hoping it calms down before
Yeah.
Thursday. Thursday we have to go to 2 different ones. So.
I have a son coming home from Athens.
Well, congratulations.
Well, that's good to hear.
See, I got
Well, hopefully it's a good trip for him.
yeah.
Hopefully it'll clear up.
I work at Olive Garden, so since we're closed, we're going to have a special Thanksgiving dinner for all the employees, so that'll be interesting.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Italian turkey.
Whatever it is, they're definitely eating good.
Yeah, I know it. And you don't see him inviting anybody, do you?
No, I didn't hear any.
I know.
That's okay. So,
Okay, well,
you got a story for us, Randy?
no, but I just have a statement.
Okay.
Anything you could talk about dead people or anything come around the corner, it's the live ones you got to worry about.
Yeah. That's what I always say going into anywhere. Is like, I don't really care about the ghosts as much as the people
No,
there.
I don't either.
No.
well, thanks
Well, would
for
you like
that
a prize?
tidbit of advice.
Randy, I'm going to give you a pizza, a 16-inch pizza at Da Vinci's Pizza up on top of the hill on 88.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. Past Ogilvy?
Yeah, you go a little
it's
bit past
on the,
Ogilvy.
on the corner of Peters Run and Ogilvy, or 88.
All right.
on
Well,
Ogilvy.
thank you very much.
Yes,
Great
sir.
pizza.
Just hold on, Randy, so I can get your last name, okay?
Sure.
All right, Randy, thank you. Guys, I just got an update from one of the officers at Triadelphia Volunteer Fire Department. 88 is closed right now due to accidents.
We saw 2 on our way over, so it's got to be even worse now.
Yeah, apparently there are wrecks all over the place up there. So stay
88
away.
going to West Liberty on 88 is an adventure every morning, and
See, I'll tell you honestly, the drive out to West Lib was enough, because I was thinking about taking that crash course for adults, to get your degree.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, in the wintertime to have to drive that road, I mean, it's bad enough in the summer.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
to have to drive it every day, all the time and at night? No.
Imagine all those windy roads, deers.
the deer.
Deers.
Wow, grammar. Now,
We's the good uns.
the turn I hate the most on 88 is you've went with me to West Liberty a couple of times. That hairpin turn, you go around. There's a White House there, and you have to swing around that turn, and then you go down the hill.
Oh,
and
yeah.
right at the bottom of the hill, the water will pool.
Yep.
And usually, if you make it around that, usually there's always someone at the bottom of the hill. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 people there, and they get a little bit too much speed, hit that ice, and they
Off
run
they
right
go.
off
Yeah.
into the ditch.
Yep.
So, and I saw a Jeep one time that lost their axle or something, just busted off. It was bad. So.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to make that trip. I admire anybody that drives out there every day.
You admire
Okay.
me, Lola?
Yes,
I'm
I
glad to
do,
hear
my
this.
dear. Okay, this is Retired Rich.
Retired Rich.
Hi, how are you?
Is this
Good.
retired radio Rich?
No, no.
Look what,
No,
no insults.
No way.
What's going on, Rich?
Oh, I came in from Barnesville. It's bad on the hill.
It's bad on the hill in Barnesville?
Oh, yes, very bad. I was in Barnesville. But I wanted to tell you a story years ago when I worked in the courthouse. The
All
first
right.
computer system that the county was putting in the one court, the juvenile and probate court. There was a lady that was coming in and installing that, and she was staying there and doing the program. She would work during the day, and this lady was no wimp. But she worked one evening, and she told us the next day she was there about 10, 11 o'clock at night, and she was sitting at a desk. There was no one around. There was no maintenance people. And one computer that was shut off came on automatically, and a chair moved.
What moved?
A chair at a desk.
Oh,
Those don't normally do that.
And there wasn't anybody around. There wasn't any wind blowing through there or anything else. It was all locked up.
oh wow.
Needless to say, she said that was it. She got up and got out of there and would not work there at night when there wasn't anybody around.
Now,
So maybe there's spirits. Now, years ago, there's a report they used to hang the people between the old sheriff's office and jail and the courthouse.
Huh.
I think it was Judge Parker. I think was one of them that did that. So I'm just wondering, whether or not it would be worthwhile, whether you could get the county to let you do it anyway, or let somebody come in and see if there's anything with any spirits or anything or ghosts or whatever around in that area late at night.
That'd be an interesting place to go into. How old? Do you know how old the courthouse is?
Oh, it's in the 1800s.
1800s.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting place to go into.
That wasn't originally the county seat. It was at one time, I think, in another building, and I think it was even on the riverfront at one time. I think it was I'm not sure, but I think it was in Shadyside. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a historian, but
yeah.
They moved it, and there were a lot of hangings back during that time.
I always wondered about that. If you move a building, would the spirits perhaps go with it? I remember it's actually a famous ghost picture, and there was this house that was being moved, family house that you see. It's up on the blocks where they're moving the house, and in the window. Now, of course, if they're moving the house, nobody's supposed to be inside. And it's a two-story house, and up on the top floor, there's a little girl in a white dress looking out of the window. And of course, this is in the middle of them moving it. This is a very old picture, and I'm gonna have to try to find that picture. No, it wasn't here. I'm telling you what, that's one of those pictures. Like, oh look, it's a little girl at the house. Then I start reading, I'm like, oh really? And I've always wondered that. Do the ghosts, if a spirit's in the house or demon whatever, does it go with it when it moves, or is it attached more to the land? That would be an interesting place to go into and take a look at.
Right, and I'm familiar with one that I experienced personally when I had this lady friend, and she resided in an old farmhouse, and we were in the room, and the windows were closed, the blinds were closed, and everything. The lights were on, but they weren't on brightly, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw this form. It was almost like a hologram moving across the corner of the room. And I didn't say anything initially, and the hair went up on my. I don't scare easily, but then I looked over at her and I said, she had a look on her face, and I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "What was it?" So we tried to do everything. Maybe a car coming down the road, we got outside, shine lights, but nothing would imitate that. But it was an eerie feeling, and also she experienced. She had like dolls that were on a shelf back where they wouldn't normally come off, and there was there's no traffic on that road, and she would find dolls at the bears or whatever, little bears and dolls that she had that would be pushed out across the floor.
This isn't those dolls with the big eyes, are they?
No.
Okay. Those things creep me out so much.
I'm looking at nothing satanic looking.
Oh. I've been in the houses before and I've seen those, and I'm like, well, there's your problem right there. You know, those things always look like they're watching you. They always look like everywhere you're standing in the room, they're staring right at you. They are. It's Chucky's little friends.
Now, when I was a kid, in order to keep us out of the basement, my father used to say that there was a cattywampus down there.
A cattywampus?
Yeah, cattywampus. And he said if you open the door slowly and you look over there, you'll see its eyes, and you could turn the light on, and you could see eyes. And, we were scared to death for years, of course. As we got older, we found out that the cattywampus was actually a Daniel Boone cookie jar that was sitting on the But it worked.
It did.
And it worked for my kids when they were growing up, and my nieces and nephews.
And we wonder why everybody's in psychotherapy now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Rich, you want to stop by and pick something up?
I can't do it tonight. But
oh, no, anytime.
Oh, no, we wouldn't
anytime.
ask you to do it tonight.
I got a pizza for you if you want it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that you were giving anything away. I came in from Barnesville, and the roads were really bad.
Oh, geez, Louise, I'm even extra glad that you're calling in and not expecting something.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down we're in Bridgeport area now, and it's it's just wet down here. Of course, I think the river keeps us warm, but sure.
Okay, great.
A while back, I appreciated those opening of the theaters up there in the Highlands, and that was great. So yes, I'd love to.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks.
You have a good night, Rich.
Okay, thank you. What do I do? Just stop at the office?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Have a good
See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, now we've got Randy again. Hi, Randy. You still there?
Yes.
Hey, Randy.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a question,
Yes, sir.
and I'll let you guys do what you want with it. But how can a person be a Christian and believe in ghosts at the same time?
Well, it depends on what you classify ghost as. Now,
I guess it depends on what you quantify a Christian as also.
Yeah, true.
That would be true,
Now,
yeah.
I am a Christian. I am a born-again believer. I go to a tongue-talking church. Very spiritual.
Really?
I sure
Oh,
do.
man, that scared the hell out of me.
And,
Wow.
The way I see it, I believe that ghosts are demonic energy. Now, I think...
What's that now?
I believe ghosts are demons. That's my thought, my belief.
So they're all bad.
Well, if you think about it, if you go into the Bible, it clearly says, there's one judgment. Okay, I'm gonna get biblical on you. Okay, there's one judgment in the Bible. Then that's the the great throne judgment. After Revelations. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it says the good people when they die they go to Abraham's bosom and wait. You got me there? Are you? Okay. Well, it doesn't exactly say where the bad spirits go. It doesn't do that. Now, you can take that, however you want it. We've had different shows with people talking about the Nephilim, things like that. We know there was fallen angels. We know there's demons, stuff like that. Now, if you get into energy, the person is energy, a living being. We're covered in...
There's no doubt about that.
Okay, well, the law of energy is energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. Okay, so our energy has to go somewhere.
There's black holes.
Black holes. Now, if our energy goes, let's say, it's just hanging around in a certain area. People say that it can be recorded in courts, something like that. What's to say that something that's demonic can't take that energy and manipulate it to think that it's a certain thing in order to plant fear or confusion into a Christian? Or because I've had, Nick and I have been in the business for a couple years now. And we have Christians, we have people that are, worship leaders, saying, hey, there's something going in our house. We're scared. We've been praying. Can you come and check it out? And it doesn't have to be a thing like demonic. It doesn't,
Shouldn't you just be able to pray that out of the house?
Now, it depends if it's something that's prayed. When you go in an investigation, we check, it's called EMF. Now, there's lines and stuff like that go through your house. It could be like a... Nick says
What's
it's like
EMF
sleeping under
stand for?
electromagnetic field.
Yeah,
It's
one of the ones
EMF.
one of the ones we went to, and the person was their entire life that they had been in this house, which had been a long time. They were always scared, especially in certain rooms of the house. And we did an investigation. Someone did come pray for the house, but what we found was that outside of the place where they would sleep is the power box. And, this is an older house, and right outside where her head was, that power box is there. And if you think about it, if you're susceptible to that kind of radiation or something, that's going to cause havoc with, you're going to become paranoid. Some people get physically ill and actually, vomit and stuff.
Well, you know why? Because you give power to that. Any belief you give anything, it gives that sort of thing power.
Oh, and of course, in your mind's extremely powerful.
And if you disbelieve it, it has no power.
But see, now we've also been to places where, we've told the story on the air before, Jordan and another investigator standing there, and all of a sudden they hear singing. And there's no little girls with us. There's no little girls in the house with us at all. And, then we have to try to figure out, that's one of the points where it's like, okay, it's not EMF, what is it? And we have to come up with our own theories and beliefs on what that might be and try to...
We go into places trying to prove it wrong so that, people can sleep at night. We have calls from... Oh, you still there?
Sure.
Okay. We have calls from people whose children are no longer allowed to sleep, or they don't want to sleep in the house anymore. They've been staying with grandpa because they're seeing things at night. There's different things going on, that a kid's not going to exactly understand, and the family might not be prayed up.
Now you're talking about kids, too.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And we do.
Their dreams are demonstrative, and they go on tangents about anything.
Now, if
even
it's
when they're awake.
If it's something that we can't prove wrong, and we think that there isn't some kind of entity in the house, we do connect those people with the local church. We do try to get them with a ministry that prays and blesses houses and stuff like that.
Or whatever other help they might be. If there's something else going on in the house, Jordan one time worked as a what was it you worked as?
I've done a lot of things.
Yeah, with Fox Run and stuff like that, I guess.
Well, thank goodness that the ghost. I'll tell you one thing. As long as the ghosts aren't as bad as human beings and don't burn don't burn people with cigarettes.
That's horrible.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. I don't care who you are.
Right. We're much better off worrying about ghosts than we are human beings.
Yeah. And
I say we burn that woman like a witch.
Well,
jeez.
I'm with you.
Did that answer your question, Randy?
Not really, but it was nice talking to you.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. So long, guys.
See ya.
And I think still on there. Okay. I look at it as we're somebody we don't necessarily believe in psychics. I don't believe. I've seen so much stuff that shows that they're fakes. It's going to be very, very hard to sway me, that way. And we look at it as, we'd rather go in because we're going to try to prove it wrong. We're going to try our best. If there's a cause for it anywhere in there, we look for it, and we're not going to rip somebody off. We're not charging people. We don't, if we see something we can't understand, we're going to tell them I don't understand that. So,
all right, it's time for us to take a break here on Whispers Radio. Give us a call, 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, 866-514-1600.
I was going to take a break, but this is Don, and so I'm going to take him before we go to break.
Okay, hey, Don.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm okay. I got a little story and a question. I don't know if you're familiar where North Fork Church is up in the Short Creek area.
Okay.
Sounds familiar. I know where Short Creek is, but
okay. Well, if you go on North Fork, like if you're going towards the dump or up towards West Liberty, there's a little church back in there, and it's been there. It's an old church. Well, my grandparents are buried up there, and there's two cemeteries. There's a new section and there's an old section up there, and it's up on the side of the hill. And they didn't take care of the grounds real well, and I used to go up there and cut the grass at my grandparents' grave. And I was up there. It was a summer evening, and I got done mowing, and I was looking up on the hill, and I seen someone walk through the woods. Well, I thought I saw something. So I went ahead, and there's an old cemetery at the top of the hill. And there was nobody up there. Now, I don't know what I saw. It might have been nothing. But that's where, the McCullochs are buried. There are some old families buried up in there, some very old grave sites. And I don't know if you guys could get some kind of, permission to go up there and kind of poke around in there, because there's a lot of interesting things up in there.
Well, this is Short Creek.
Short
Road.
Creek. I'm from Wheeling. It's a creek.
I'm from North Carolina. It took me a long time to figure out what the heck people were talking about when they said creek.
But yeah, it's Short Creek. If you're going, if you go up through Woolworth up on 2 and you go towards the airport and go on back towards, if you're going the back way in towards West Liberty, stay on 2 until you get to North Fork Road. It's where the dump is, where they haul all the garbage to.
Okay.
There's a church right up there, and it's called, it's either called Short Creek Methodist Church or I think it's called Short Creek Methodist Church.
Okay.
There's the old, cemetery's on the hill behind it. And, I don't know if anybody else who's from that area might have seen some things there, but it's one of the oldest cemeteries around here.
All right, well, we'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, if you maybe somebody will call in who knows something about it can get you in to take a look.
Yeah, if anybody knows, just give us a call, 214-1600, 866-514-1600. Especially if you've had a story up there. I hear a lot of stories. I'm not a big cemetery person. Jordan doesn't mind them. My question always is, nobody ever died at a cemetery that I can think of.
Right, and I can say, it might have been nothing. Something caught my eye.
I'm not saying it could be. You never know. There's a lot of people that see stuff in them.
There is.
I didn't realize how old it was till I got up in there and started looking around, and it's, it's probably in the same area like the old Mount Wood Cemetery, old stuff like that.
Well, I know John's been wanting to take us to a cemetery somewhere. A witch, buried there.
That would be an interesting. I still want to see that. We're gonna have to hold him to it here soon, when it's not snowing.
I just thought maybe that's something.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'd have to do that.
Okay.
I have one photo package, and that's all I have left. So
no, go ahead and give it to somebody else who needs it. I just wanted to pass that on.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks for that information.
Hey, thank you.
You have a good one.
You too.
I wrote that down, so we'll have to. I don't know. I've always thought that. I've always wondered. I don't believe necessarily that the spirits of dead people, but
I've gotten a picture. And it's on like our group's MySpace. If you check it out, we got the. It's like a mist that I call it, like floating through the air.
And
it's
what
not
did
a
I
breath.
say about it? What did I?
I don't
You're
even
at
remember.
a river and there could be fog.
No, that wasn't. But nice try. Okay, time for a break now on Whispers. AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog.
Gotta free my mind, get you out of sight.
Do you want to dive into the bizarre world of the paranormal? Do ghosts, UFOs, or the supernatural amaze you to the point of wanting to learn more? Then you need BVRN, the Black Vault Radio Network. With more than 750 hours of on-demand talk radio, syndicated from more than 35 shows, the Black Vault Radio Network is your one-stop shop for the world of the unexplained. Check us out and tune in 24 hours a day. www.blackvaultradio.com. Again, that's www.blackvaultradio.com.
Over recent years, the traditional office has become more of a touchpad than a daily destination. Long gone is the reliance on a landline to work away from the office. More people are performing work from home or other locations thanks to technologies like GoToMyPC that let you take your office wherever you go. With GoToMyPC, you have freedom from the office, enhanced work-life balance, and increased work flexibility. When choosing a remote access service, you need to make sure it's easy to set up, easy to use, and affordable. That's why you need GoToMyPC. And you can try it free for 30 days. For this special offer, go to mypc.com/techpodcasts. That's go to mypc.com/techpodcasts. Take your office with you wherever you go with GoToMyPC.
Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 6:50 p.m. here in downtown Wheeling. Cold, snowy, and the roads are bad. Be
33.
careful. If you don't have to go outside, if you don't have to drive anywhere, don't do it. There are wrecks everywhere.
Well, we're supposed to, actually, at 9:15 tonight, according to the AccuGuess Weather Service.
AccuGuess.
I
love it.
We are supposed to start getting significant snowfall. That will last until tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow it's going to be blustery cold with snow showers. And then it's supposed to stop, and we're not supposed to get any snow on Thursday, but it's still going to be cold and yucky and dreary.
All the fire departments in the Ohio Valley, or in Ohio County, I should say, get ready. It's going to be a long night.
Yeah,
Jordan. Ruin people's nights.
They can expect
will you
it.
get any calls out? Will
Probably.
they call you at home and tell you to come get your butt into work?
Oh, yeah, I got this fancy little pager right here on my side.
I see that.
It's a good thing he has it turned off because he'd probably be going crazy right now. He's probably got it on vibrate.
Yeah, I do.
So, Jordan, we were talking during the break. Do you have any... We got a question from Randy, and... I don't know what you were wondering. Did you answer it?
Now, here's my thought, and you know, I said my piece, and just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I'm supposed to pretend that things don't exist and there's not things out there, and that's like the blunt of it without trying to back it up with anything. There's something going out in the world. There's something going out in the universe that we don't see. There's perceptions that we don't see that others do, and for me to pretend that they no longer exist because I'm a Christian.
Well, I think the only answer once we get to heaven, you sit down. Right, God, what was this?
What the heck was this?
Who was
Spanish
singing?
Inquisition? Come on now.
I mean, it is hard. I mean, if you go into a haunted house, when we go to the prison, Lola, you're going to walk in there with some notion of what you think might happen.
Yeah.
And if something else happens that's different, do you throw away your preconceived notions, or I think you have to almost walk in with a clean slate and be like, okay, let's see what happens. Try to figure it out what it might have been, and then at some point you've got to be okay. There's nothing that I can explain it away with. You might come back later on. So
yeah,
it would just be easier to do that. Just say you were staying somewhere, you stopped somewhere, you knew nothing about the place.
Yeah.
And things happened. But now, like, to use the pen as an example of that, though, of course everybody's got preconceived notions of what that place is going to be like.
Sure.
And I think every single little noise or light or anything, I'm personally going to freak out, probably.
Well, that's what happened when we went on our investigation that we did right before Halloween. Every single one of we had 74 people.
72.
72 people. All of them thought they were going to see constant ghosts jumping out everywhere, and I didn't find anything. Jordan had some luck. My group was so expecting something, they were jumping everywhere, and I do think that imagination goes a lot into it. You've got to get in there, and you've got to.
Well, like Randy said, it's mindset.
Your mind's a very powerful tool. I mean, that's why we have science fiction stories that take us, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. If nobody had an imagination, we would never have anything like that.
Yeah, true.
We wouldn't have wonderful conspiracy theories of, why anything and everything happens, and we wouldn't have any of this stuff, So, and I think let's take it away from the ghost perspective. Ghosts are kind of more of a controversial. UFO. If we were coming over to the show, how long ago was this? A month or so?
Last month.
We see something, in the sky, and I say, Jordan, what the heck is that? We could have been, that's a UFO.
Well, we did pull over to the side of the road and get out of the car and check it out.
I wanted to take a look at what it was. It was a blimp. But
it was a little off in the distance, so you couldn't see the little caboose at the bottom. You could just see like this big round-shaped object kind of floating. We're like, what's that?
But you have to
what's going on there?
But now, let's say we get somebody on the air that's been abducted. Who are we to say that he's lying?
But that's perception, It
is perception.
Everybody's reality is what they perceive. I had a conversation with one of my friends at work, today about, reality and perception and all that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody's perception is different.
Well, you actually have a story there about abductions. What was that? Thanksgiving story?
Oh.
Now this, Lola, you are before you even read this, I have to ask Lola a couple questions.
Okay.
Now, you have family coming over, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, are you the host of your Thanksgiving dinner?
Yes.
All right.
What?
Jordan!
This just in.
Oh, no.
Thanksgiving hosts in danger of being abducted by aliens. It's from Los Angeles. Thanksgiving is
Of course it is.
Thanksgiving is a prime time for alien abductions, and party hosts are its highest risk of ET attacks. According to alien researcher, the author, Dr. Bruce Goldberg, alien abductions happen when people are vulnerable, tired, and weak. He says Thanksgiving hosts who have been up for days preparing the big feast are perfect targets for alien abduction because they're drained and won't put up a fight.
There you go. I will not be up for days preparing this feast, so I'm safe.
It depends on how many people, I guess you're serving on whether or not they target you.
Yeah. So limit your parties to a smaller size.
See, Goldberg explains aliens prey on those who are burnt out and have weaker immune systems. If you're physically tired, you are more susceptible
Get that word
to
out.
a UFO attack. He says those who stuff themselves into frail, turkey-induced food comas are also candidates for abductions.
Well, I enjoy how he skipped a little bit to the bottom there. He tells you how to. Now, Lola, this is what you need.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
To protect yourself.
Okay. Tinfoil hat. Okay.
I don't think that was on the list, but I would get that.
Okay.
Yeah, you found it?
Goldberg says folks can protect themselves from a Turkey Day abduction by wearing an iron crucifix, keeping salt or St. John's wort nearby, or having a magnet in their person. If abducted, a magnet. And if abducted, he says giving the aliens an empowered New York attitude should scare them away.
Lola, you have an empowered New York attitude.
You're like, get away, I'm mad! Oh, she's on the phone. She can't
angry
play.
with you. She's calling somebody.
Yeah, right.
Did you hear
She
Jordan's
wasn't even listening.
Did you hear Jordan's
If you learned how to answer the phone.
Jordan.
Well, I can't talk about interesting things if I'm answering the phone.
Really,
that, Lola.
Really, Jordan.
Okay, so if you're
Do
out
you
there
answer
cooking-
a phone at home?
No, barely.
All right.
I hate talking
This
on the
is
phone.
Gary, and then you can tell me what I have to do or not do.
All right. Hey, Gary, what's going on?
How's it going, guys?
How are you?
Pretty good.
First time caller.
Well, hey,
I've
thanks.
listened to you guys before, but I've called into about every other. Well, I have called into every other.
Yes,
show.
you have, Gary.
Other than legislative watchdogs, I usually don't. But
okay.
anyway, there was a story. I said I lost you guys, so I'm not sure what you're talking about now. But
Anything you want to talk
it's
about?
nonsense. Let's go ahead with anything you want.
when I was younger, my best friend used to live in a town called New Rumley, Ohio, which is where it's over by Scioto, Jewett area. I don't know if you're guys are familiar with that, but it's just a small town. And there was always a barn we used to go over and play in. This is probably when I was, 10, 11 years old. But there was an old house next to it that we'd always go into. And you always, when you're younger, you always go into, if you go into a different house or, an old house, abandoned house, you always get those, hair stands up on your neck and just weird feelings. But one day we went in, and in one room we'd never been into, there was a bunch of newspaper articles, like cut out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about these two little girls that were murdered.
Oh, wow.
And had their pictures and everything. There was like 3 or 4 articles cut out just of them. And we really never, like I said, I never really thought about it, up until that point, because like I said, we'd never went into that room before. And we were, we left the room, went into, the other part of the house, because like I said, we'd always go through the house.
Gary, we only got about 35 seconds.
Okay. This man comes barging in the house. Never seen the guy before. It was an old guy.
Oh.
I mean, he scared the crap out of us. Didn't know who he was. So we took off running. He went in the house, and after he left, we watched him leave. He just walked out. Didn't drive away or nothing. Just walked away. Went back into that room. Every one of those articles was gone.
Oh, jeez.
And like I said, we never saw the guy again.
Do you think he killed him? Or he had something to do? Or was obsessed?
Years ago, it just freaked me out. I mean, never
That's
really
crazy.
told anybody the story. Me and my friend just, we told his mom and dad. But just one of them things that you can't explain it.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
It's really weird, but...
All right, we got to head off, Gary. Thanks very much for your call. Call back.
Bye, Gary.
All
All
right,
right, time for a break. We got to get to the news here on AM 1600 WKKX Valley Watchdog.
My name is X246ZY7 from the planet Dotopia. And when I'm in your rather primitive solar system, I go to paranormalpodcast.com and set my podcast aggregator to Paranormal Podcast with Jim Harold. Finally, a show about me.
Well, sort of. At Paranormal Podcast, we interview authors and experts from around the world about everything from UFOs and ghosts to the existence of life after death. Are crop circles real? Is there scientific explanations for the Bermuda Triangle phenomena? Learn this and so much more on the Paranormal Podcast. Now, we take our subject matter seriously, but we have fun too. Even skeptics are welcome. So please subscribe. It's free. You can find us at Podcast Alley, the iTunes Music Store, or at ParanormalPodcast.com. Take a listen. Open your mind.
Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 7:10. Still cold, still rainy, still snowy, still slushy, still accidents.
It's a mess.
Be careful on the roads. Give us a call, 304-214-1600 if you're out of the area. 866-514-1600. I don't know what that was.
What was
that? Was
that?
me. I kind of had a brain thing, and I had to yell to get it out of my system.
Oh, my goodness.
Give us a call. Tell us what you're thinking. Our guest tonight, for everybody who's been waiting patiently for the last hour, Miss Susan Sheppard, who is
Hi,
the
Sea-Dog. Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, Sea-Dog has been.
I know.
Susan Sheppard is the operator of the Haunted Parkersburg, which is ranked 9th in the top 10 American ghost tours in the U.S.
That's right. We're number 9 now.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Susan. Number 9. Most popular ghost tour in the nation. Down here in Parkersburg.
Got your eye on number 8 for next year, or going to the top?
I don't know. I was really surprised when I heard that we went to number 9. So.
Now, what do you do to move up in ranks on that?
Pardon me?
What do you do to move up in ranks for the best?
Well, actually, I didn't do anything. The first year that we got top 10 ghost tour in the nation, I was completely surprised. I was called by the Haunted America Tours out of New Orleans, and apparently they have votes, and we had gotten 10,000 votes.
Wow.
Which was surprising because I didn't even know there was a contest or a vote. So I think a lot of it was based on the website as well.
Well, that's good. We actually, our show on when we podcast it out is sponsored by Haunted America Tours.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
we've had
that's not the reason that we want you on here.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, good.
We've actually, there's been several people that have mentioned you. Sherry Brake Rico was the first person.
Mark Nesbitt.
Yeah, you were actually the first person she mentioned, and then she mentioned Mark Nesbitt, and then Mark
Oh.
Nesbitt mentioned you, and
we
You're a
love
very
Sherry.
popular girl, Susan.
Well, thank you. My daughter tells me that's because I tell ghost stories.
we like ghost stories.
Yes, we
Right.
do.
Well, I've been into this most of my life, so nothing new to me. It's kind of old to me in certain ways.
Now, Haunted Parkersburg, what areas in Parkersburg do you go to for your tours?
Well, we go into the Upper Historical District where we have lots of haunted houses. We go to old graveyards. We also go to the downtown district. We're not able to go over on Blennerhassett Island, of course, but we have a lot of ghost stories from Blennerhassett Island.
Now, what is that?
Well, they see the ghost of Margaret Blennerhassett walking up and down the shoreline, and there's a ton of stories over there. Actually, I can't tell them all to you, but there's been
I'm not
fights
from the
for ghosts
area.
over there.
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably doesn't even know what Blennerhassett.
Yeah,
Blennerhassett's a great place.
I've only lived here for about 6 years, so I really don't know what that is. So
Well,
if you can,
it's a historical park. There were Irish aristocrats that came to the area around 1799, and they built this big palatial mansion, and their name was Harmon and Margaret Blennerhassett, and unfortunately they got involved with a fellow by the name of Aaron Burr and got into a lot of trouble with Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr
Thomas
was
Jefferson
trouble.
had Mr. Blennerhassett imprisoned, and the mansion fell apart, and they only lived there 3 or 4 years, but it was a beautiful palatial mansion, almost something like in Williamsburg, while
Wow.
other people were living in log cabins. And so there's a lot of hauntings over there on the island and all over the city of Parkersburg, actually.
Now, Aaron Burr, the reason they got in trouble, he was trying to make his own country, if I remember
He sure
correctly.
was, and he was he knew that Harmon Blennerhassett had a lot of money, and he was hatching this plan that he and Harmon Blennerhassett would start a new country west of the Ohio River, and Thomas Jefferson did not like this very well.
I
So
guess
he had
so.
both of them, of course, in prison for treason.
wow.
Now, Aaron Burr, I think, if I remember, walked free on that, right?
Right. He
Yeah,
kind
nobody
of walked away.
Yeah.
But they see actually the ghost of Margaret, his wife, and there's various theories as to why she haunts the island. While they were over there, they had a young daughter by the name of Baby Margaret that died, and they've never found her grave, so they think that perhaps the spirit of Margaret Blennerhassett is over there searching for the grave of her young daughter who passed away at 2 years old.
Or maybe she just doesn't want to leave her daughter.
Could be that as well. Well, there's a lot of theories into ghosts, and so many of them have something to do with imprint hauntings, spirit recordings where there's no real consciousness, to the ghost. And if you try to interact with them, you can't, because it's like trying to interact with a moving image or an image of some sort. And then you have interactive ghosts, with unfinished business. So there's a lot of different types of ghosts, and you can usually tell when you start researching, the information having to do with the haunting, what kind of spirit or ghost or haunting that you're dealing with. And an awful lot of them do come under the category of imprint hauntings, where some kind of energy was invested, into a certain area, and it somehow gets played back. So, but usually an interactive ghost will not appear always in the same spot. They'll appear in different places, and they will attempt to communicate with people. Whereas a spirit recording will do the same thing over and over again, and they will never change their spot. They wear the same clothes. And that kind of haunting will generally fade over time, unless it's recharged by something. And if it's recharged by something, it will start back up again.
Now, what can recharge it? I know Lola's got a question. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, that's good. That's
go
a good
ahead.
one.
That's good.
For instance, like, on a battlefield, for instance, in Gettysburg, maybe there's a sighting of a soldier on a cannon, and they see him for a number of years, and, he kind of fades away. But if you bring in Civil War reenactors, for some reason that really stirs them back up, or something might happen in that general area, something traumatic might happen in that area, that will recharge the ghost. Or actually even bringing a psychic with you will recharge the ghost. I tend to recharge ghosts a lot. And usually when I go on ghost hunts and things, I love all the equipment and all the technical aspects of ghost hunting, but I pretty well work best as a psychic. And what they will do is they generally will come around me. And they get a lot of things in their pictures, if I'm in the picture or if I'm around. I think probably what they do is they sort of draw upon my energy is one explanation. But usually with an interactive ghost, if they keep appearing again and again and seem to have a message they want to bring across, it's an interactive spirit where there's an intelligence behind the haunting. And generally they will be pretty, they'll be pretty insistent about bringing this message across. And then they tend to follow around psychics anyway, because psychics can pick up their messages so much easier than what an ordinary person can. So they kind of don't waste their time with people that don't really feel them or notice them. And they gravitate towards psychics who do feel them and notice them.
All right, Susan, I've got a question for you. And can a spirit physically harm a person? I mean, I know they can move things or they can cause...
Well, to a degree. Yes, they can touch, they can pinch, they can even slap, they can knock you over, and some of them will scratch. It's a really weird thing. We had a haunted convent here in Parkersburg called the Sales Heights, and a lot of people got scratched in there, and so did I. I went in there during the day. And I had my camera. The door was wide open. It was abandoned. And I was just walking around taking pictures. And I was saying, show me that you're here. When I got outside, I looked down at my arm, and I saw there was red on my arm. And I'm also an artist, so I was kind of thinking, well, I must have got paint on my arm. And I wipe it away, and it's like a long cat scratch. But I felt nothing, absolutely nothing while I was in there. Then on the night they tore it down, they had a vigil outside, some of the former students that had gone to school there. And we were standing there, and there was a young lady beside of me, and she looked down, and her hand was scratched. Her hand was, and it was the same thing. It was like a cat scratch. That's pretty much, as far as killing people, murdering people, no, they're not really capable of that. But if they do the scratching kind of thing, and I've also seen this in shows about, for instance, Dracula's Castle, and where some ghost hunters went in there and they had the same thing, like a long cat scratch. That seems to get as bad as what they can do physically to a person. But a person with certain sensitivities, if they're impressionable, if they have mental health problems, emotional problems, the spirits can affect that kind of a person. So you do have to be a little bit careful. But that's the only time I ever got any physical thing happen to me, though.
I think the question at that point would be how much of it is that person versus how much would be an actual spirit. I mean, if you're bringing something into the mix...
Well, that would be charging it up, right?
That would be charging it up to some degree. Which reminded me that story. We were actually over at my uncle's before we left, and one of my great uncles is a Civil War reenactor.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what you were saying, they were at Gettysburg,
right?
And they were taking a picture of all these people, and they were kind of posing. And in the picture were ghosts of, or pictures of soldiers that were there,
wow.
but they weren't there.
Yeah.
And I've been telling
you can use the word ghost.
Oh,
yes.
There was
there
was
more
people
soldiers
there
than there
were there.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. There was more soldiers steaming around than there were actual soldiers there.
Well, Gettysburg is certainly the most haunted town or city that we have in the United States. There's no doubt about that. And I do think, what you said about your relative being the reenactor. We had something similar happen here in Parkersburg. We had a Civil War. We had 5 Civil War hospitals in Parkersburg, and one was on Quincy Hill. And we were going to do a ghost hunt up there. There was about 1,000 soldiers up there during the time of the Civil War, in like a tent overflow city. And I went up there about a week before we were going to do our ghost hunt and had my camera, and I didn't really get anything. And was kind of worried about it because it was a public ghost hunt. And we put some reenactors up there. And, I mean, these guys were good. The costuming was exact. Everything was done precisely as it was done in the Civil War. These were real scholars is what they were. And sure enough, once we got those Civil War reenactors up there, we got everything. We got ectoplasm. We got EVPs, just tons of stuff. And it was just, I think it was, I don't know. I think in a funny way, hauntings and spirits and ghosts seem to be tied to memory somehow. That seems to be the connection. And I can't really explain it any better than that. But maybe the presence of those soldiers dressed in that exact way and doing those exact things pulled them back in some way.
Wow.
And I do think when spirits come back, they often come back to the place of their strongest memories. And that might explain it as well. Does that make sense?
Have you been up here for Fort Henry Days?
No, I haven't.
Because they do reenactments of, Fort Henry and the Betty Zane run, where she had to leave the fort and go back and get dry powder and shot. Mm-hmm. And now that you've brought that up, I was just thinking, because I'll tell you, they do some phenomenal things. They not only have the settlers and the soldiers, but they have Indians, people dressed. And boy, would that be exciting to have somebody like you there that would actually be able to connect with this kind of stuff. I just, wow.
Do they even do that? I don't think they do that at the actual site. Though.
No, they do it up at
Ogilvie.
Ogilvie.
Real Indians, but these parts actually, I am part Shawnee Indian.
A lot of Indians have a gift.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and no. I mean, I don't know if some more special than others. Some people have said that, but I'm not so sure. But what's funny is the psychic in my family was my red-headed Irish grandmother.
Oh, I've heard that about Irishmen, too.
Yes,
Irishmen have a whole different other spirit that they interact with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, it could be. It could be as well. And I think those presences, they do come back. I did a documentary in Point Pleasant, Eyes of the Mothman. A lot of people don't realize the first sighting of the Mothman was actually in Doddridge County, West Virginia, where I'm from. And that was the red eyes in the barn with the Partridge family, and the man's name is Merle Partridge. And he actually lives in New Martinsville.
Really?
Now, yes. And they were the ones that had the very first sighting of the Mothman. That was the red eyes in the barn. I don't know if you remember that story. Now, it's written in John Keel's book as Salem, West Virginia. I don't know if you know where that is. But it's actually in a little community called Center Point is where that first sighting was. And it was I think around November 13th or 14th, 1966. And that was when, they heard the dog barking, and this was way out in the country, and he and his son Roger went out to find out what was wrong with their dog Bandit. and they went and they looked in the barn, and they saw these red eyes.
Yeah, I know the story now. Okay.
And the thing just sort of did this hawking, standing up. Now, Mr. Partridge told me, you know, John Keel used a lot of poetic license in his Mothman prophecies. Many of the Mothman witnesses, most of them, when they saw those red eyes, they interpreted those as red electrical lights. They didn't look like cat's eyes or the eyes of an owl or even something reflective. They looked like red electrical lights.
Is that because that was a source, perhaps, or wasn't really a reflection?
These things. And then the thing just sort of stood up, and the dog ran into the barn. The dog came up missing. They never found him again, and it was because they found there was a dog's body outside the city limits of Point Pleasant. A German Shepherd dog was why Mr. Partridge eventually called, because their dog came up missing. But, I mean, he has a lot of stories to tell, Mr. Partridge does. But it was the next night that the Mothman was actually seen in Point Pleasant. But getting to my story, of course, it goes down to Chief Cornstalk's curse, which I don't know if that has anything to do with the Mothman. But I will say this, and it does bring up what you said earlier about the Native Americans. You know, what I have found out is many of these people who had Mothman sightings were part Native American. The Woodrow Derenberger with the Indrid Cold part of the story that was stopped on I-77 at Route 47 here in Parkersburg. That's where the Indrid Cold part of the story came about. Mr. Derenberger was part Shawnee Indian, just like me.
Now, can you tell us a little bit for any of our listeners that aren't familiar with the story?
Well, it's a very strange story, and it's never really explained either in the book or the movie, but on November 2nd, 1966, there was a local businessman by the name of Woodrow Derenberger who was driving home from his job as a sewing machine salesman in Marietta, Ohio, toward his farmhouse in Mineral Wells. He got to the intersection of I-77, Route 47, and he thought there was a tractor-trailer coming up behind him without its lights on at a very high rate of speed. He swerved to the side of the road, and this thing rolled across the top of his car, came down straight in front of him, and he saw that it was a spaceship about 45 feet across.
Wow.
It was a dark charcoal gray, and he said he never saw any lights in that spaceship until a hatch opened, a man stepped out who looked like any ordinary man you would see on the street. There was nothing exceptional about his appearance. This is what Mr. Derenberger said. He began walking toward the car. The spaceship goes back up into the air about 75 feet where it hovers. It's about 7:30 in the evening. And the man looked to be about 35 years of age, had dark hair slicked straight back, like an olive complexion. He began to say these words, "Do not be afraid. I mean you no harm. I only want to ask you a few questions." And that is when Mr. Derenberger became afraid, because as the man spoke to him, his lips did not move.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I was just so absorbed in this, and I'm okay. I'm sorry, Susan. Go ahead.
And he rolls down the window, and the man introduces himself as Indrid Cold. This precedes the Mothman by 12 days. This is on November 2nd, 1966. He points to the lights of Parkersburg and says, "What do you call that?" Mr. Derenberger said, "Why, we call that Parkersburg. It's a city." Indrid Cold says to him, "Where I come from, we call it a gathering." He then said, "Do people live there? Do they work there?" Mr. Derenberger said, "Yes, they do." He said, "Do you work?" Mr. Derenberger said, "Yes, I'm a salesman." Indrid Cold says to him, "I'm a searcher. I come from a country less powerful than yours," which is interesting. Why would he have said that if he could have made it all the way to Earth?
Yeah.
But at any rate, he had about a 5-minute conversation with Indrid Cold. He said to Mr. Derenberger, "Thank you very much, and we will see you again." As he said those words, "We will see you again," the spaceship came back down, a hatch opened, a human arm extended, pulled Indrid Cold back up into the craft, went up to 75 feet once again, hovered there for a few seconds, went away at a very high rate of speed. And the story goes on. He continued to have visitations from Indrid Cold. Now, Indrid Cold, in his description, is very similar to what they call Man in Black. Have you heard of the Man in Black?
Yeah.
Okay. That's really what they think Indrid Cold was. So that part of the book, Mr. Derenberger also had visitations from the men in black at his farmhouse in Mineral Wells. So that is how that part of the story ended up in the Mothman prophecies. Now, Mr. Derenberger was also part Shawnee Indian. The Partridges were part Blackfoot Indian. I'm part Shawnee Indian. So many people who had these experiences do have Native American blood. Now, that's just something I've noticed recently. It's never been written about, but it goes back to your... So that tells me that there is something having to do with the native peoples of this area that has something to do maybe with some of these UFO sightings and some of the strange year that we had Mothman sightings.
Well, you know what? I think with Native Americans, there's a thread, and you know, they say DNA has a memory. Yes. And I think there's a real spiritualism to Native Americans, and I don't think it's something that has ever gone away. And certainly if you have anything to do with your tribe, or you know, that is a continuous thread through all of them. And
well, you'll be interested in this. I did have a DNA test, and they said that my ancestors had been here for about 15,000 years. Wow. And they traced my DNA back to Tibet. There were 5 migrations in Asia, and they came from different parts of Asia.
Yeah.
And mine was from the very first, and it was from the mountains of China and Tibet. The Tibetans have a word. They also have written about the men in black.
Really?
And they have that in their culture. Yes. And some of these men in black even almost look like they're part Asian. Either they're real pasty and white.
I've heard.
Looking,
yeah, I've heard
or they look kind of almost like they're Indians, really.
I've always heard they were described as like a Mongolian
yes.
kind of look to them, which is kind of interesting.
Well, you know, I believe that we are the aliens. I do believe that we are descended from somewhere far away from here.
Which I've heard of them.
Some of our ancestors. I mean,
we as people,
crazy,
or
but I believe it.
You saying like Indian tribes, or are you saying?
No, I think probably Earth.
Okay.
Really, I think that
we're the Australia of the universe.
Which would go back to the Anunnaki theory we talked about a couple weeks back with Michael Salla, which was we were star-seeded here.
Yeah, they do have a tradition of that. That is true.
Then I had a question. You were saying that Indrid Cold, you were saying that he was like a Men in Black, but he seemed to be a lot nicer. Every story I've ever heard, we had Jeff Walmsley on, and when they were talking about the Men in Black in Point Pleasant, that they would very intimidating, very.
Well, they would try.
But Indrid Cold seemed very
Mr.
nice.
Mr. Derenberger was extremely frightened over Indrid Cold, and I have the tapes. Those 1966 tapes, which I've transferred on CDs. I'd be happy to send you one if you want me to.
That'd be something I'd like to see, yeah.
And he said, Indrid Cold said to him, "Why are you frightened? Don't be frightened. We only wish you happiness. We only wish you happiness."
Hey,
but
Susan?
then when Mr. Derenberger was being interviewed the next day on the local television station here in Parkersburg, one of the reporters said to him, Mr. Derenberger, if Indrid Cold seemed very nice and he told you not to be afraid, and why is it you still act like you're so scared of him? And Woodrow Derenberger said, because Cold said to me, we will see you again, and that is what I am afraid of.
Wow.
Now, some of his relatives have told me he came up missing for 6 months at times and would say he was off with the aliens.
Huh.
John Keel thought a lot of Mr. Derenberger's story was made up. I know Mr. Derenberger's daughter.
Really?
She said the initial telling of the story was true, absolutely true. He added to it later to sell books. He published a little book with Vantage Press back in the 1960s, hoping to make some money off of it, because really his life had been destroyed. People made fun of him. The family more or less had to move away.
Well,
his daughter told me the initial story was 100% true. He did add things later, though.
All right, Susan, we need to take a break really quick. Okay, and we'll be right back with you. The number here is 304-214-1600. If you're out of the area, call us 866-514-1600. If you got a question for Susan Sheppard,
give us a call.
Give us a call.
Wow.
All right, we'll
That's
be right
what
back.
it is. That's what it is.
And cheek to cheek and bones to bone.
Eerie Radio, the endeavor for esoteric research and investigation into the enigmatic. Eerie Radio is a weekly podcast that features interviews with the world's leading paranormal researchers. Download episodes of Eerie Radio from your favorite podcatcher or directly from the show website at www.eerieradio.com. Eerie Radio. Listen, learn, laugh.
Welcome back to Whispers, everybody, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is now 7:39 p.m. here in downtown Wheeling. You like how I changed my voice there? It sounded fun.
Don't do that again.
We are on the phone here with Miss Susan Sheppard, who runs Haunted Parkersburg Tours, which is number 9 in the top 10 best tours in America.
Now, you've also written a book, Cry of the Banshee. Is that correct?
Certainly have.
I have
it
to
has
ask.
all the stories from Haunted Parkersburg. It has a whole bunch of stuff on the Mothman, new material on the Mothman, new material on Entered Cold, stories from all over West Virginia and the Ohio Valley. It was brought out by West Virginia Books in Charleston, and I'm sure they can get it online.
Now, the Banshee, what exactly is a Banshee?
Well, the Banshee comes under the category of folklore, which means something probably happened, but the story's been added on to over years. I love this story. It's one of my favorite stories. But actually what a Banshee is an Irish-Scottish death fairy who will wail and cry upon the deaths of her members of Irish or Scottish clans. And she has red eyes like the Mothman, and even though she does not cause the death of a family member, she will announce the death by her high-pitched wailing cries.
Now, do you think that the Mothman could have been a banshee?
You know, John Keel said something funny in a TV show that she was sort of like a banshee. You know, the more you get into these things, the less able you are able to explain them. So, but I think that, the cultural groups and things that we come from, like this Irish, the Scottish, the Native American, does have some bearing upon the way we experience the paranormal, the unseen world, the world of spirits, ghosts, aliens, whatever. But she's a portent of death and doom, and it's a great story. We have the Banshee of Martown, and there's only 3 Banshee stories in the United States.
Really?
And 2 of them are from West Virginia, and 1 of them is from Virginia. But she's a fairy, is what she is. Any word that ends with she in the old Gaelic language just means fairy, and Banshee means fairy woman. She's a scary fairy.
I've never heard of that before.
I'm part Irish, so maybe before I die, I'll hear a woman screaming.
I'm sure you will.
It'll probably happen after you die.
Your wife, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
One day.
Well, Susan, have you heard anything about the Capitol Music Hall being haunted?
No, not really. Maybe you can tell me.
Well, last week was the first time that I had heard any stories. Mm-hmm. And I've been here 11 years, and I've kind of really pushed for the restoration of the Capitol and everything, and I was really surprised when someone called and said no, that way back in its day, that she would work there as an usher, work concessions, that kind of thing. She was very young, like 13 she started. And people that worked there then would see like a figure moving across the stage late at night when they would be cleaning up. if you're way backstage, you get grabbed or something by supposedly a stagehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered if maybe you had heard any of those stories
hauntings
too.
are not rare, and they occur in cycles. A place can have a lot of activity for a while, and then it kind of dies back down. But the more that I'm into this, the more I realize these are not really rare occurrences. They're strange occurrences. They're often unexpected occurrences, but they're not really that terribly uncommon. So many, especially older buildings that have a lot of history, of course, they would have more of, they would be more open to hauntings, especially the spirit recording kind, where lots of things have happened there, and they've just sort of absorbed some of the energies that have gone on.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
There's another ghost you mentioned on your site, the East End Ghoul.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, cool. I like
good ones.
It was back in 1888 near the old Holiday Cemetery, near the where they used to shovel coal on the B&O railroad cars. They began to see this white apparition that hovered down the railroad tracks that would moan and groan and rattle its chains, and they saw this for about a week, and there was a man by the name of Mr. Crowley, and Mr. Crowley decided to find out what this East End Ghoul actually was. A ghoul is different than a ghost. A ghoul is a flesh-eating spirit.
Yeah.
Or similar to a vampire.
Yeah.
And ghouls hang out either at graveyards or crossroads. And the interesting thing about the old Holiday Cemetery, there was a place beside the graveyard that used to be called the Coffin House. And it was a casket factory. And they made caskets for people that were buried in there. And after it became closed down as a casket factory, it was shaped it was shaped like a coffin. It became like a bar that these bootleggers ran. And back in, I think it was 1954, December 31st, that there was a fellow that stopped there and bought himself some alcohol and was on his way to Oak Hill, West Virginia. And the next morning, he was dead, and that man's name was Hank Williams. They said that was where Hank Williams got his last drink, was at the Coffin House.
Wow.
Same place where this East End Ghoul appeared back in 1988. So yes, it's one of the better stories on the ghost tour. That came from old newspaper articles well over 100 years ago. So you have to wonder what actually happened, but that's a terrific tale.
Well, here's my question: what's the origin of a ghoul then? I mean, if a
the origin of a ghoul it comes from the Arabic word ghoul, which means to seize or grab a hold of very quick. That's what that means, and it somehow made its way into Eastern Europe. And a ghoul was very much like a revenant or a vampire. It was a solid thing that you could touch. And it would eat dead bodies or feast upon the dead.
Wow.
And so that's where that tale stems back to, of course, would be Eastern Europe and then Germany and then, across Europe. And a lot of these stories of vampires and werewolves and things like that, they come out of India. They were brought out of India with the gypsies. So it's a combination of cultures. It's interesting to look into.
And people think it's funny when I say it's demonic.
It is. And I think in a certain way, the spirit world will reveal itself to you in the way that you understand. Okay? So
Reality
if
is how
you
you
have a set of
perceive
certain beliefs and you think you're going to see a banshee, or you think you're going to be stopped at the crossroads by the devil, for instance, if you're down in Mississippi and your name is Robert Johnson and you're a guitar player, right? At the crossroads there. But if you are in West Virginia in 1966 and you are stopped at the crossroads by a man dressed in black, it is not the devil you meet. It is Indrid Cold. See what I mean? See the similarities to all this? So it is the times that we live in and the cultures that we come from is the way that we interpret these things.
For some reason, that kind of reminds me, there's a book by Neil Gaiman called American Gods. Has anybody ever heard of it? No?
No.
Okay, and it talks about the gods that like the Norsemen would bring over, or all these cultures that immigrated to America, and how they were no longer being believed in, but they were kind of updating themselves to, to live in our culture.
Oh yeah.
And people would, were no longer perceiving them as, Thor or I cannot think of what the Norse god is that with thunder.
Thundor.
No, it's not Thundor. But they were updating themselves to keep alive as best they could, and that kind of reminded me of that. These ghouls would no longer be this; they would have to, keep with the times.
Biblical stories have, every culture has, every religion has a kind of Moses story in it, where a baby is set down a river and it's found, and he becomes a leader and a savior. Biblical stories are repeated so often in other religions; they're just different names.
Oh,
Gilgamesh is
December
Noah.
25th
The
is
same
also
story
the
as
birthday
Noah.
of Horus. So yeah, I mean, exactly. But it's kind of interesting because the tale of the devil at the crossroads and Robert Johnson. I'm sure you as radio guys all know this story. I guess Robert Plant has a vial of crossroads dirt.
Really?
Where Robert Johnson supposedly sold his soul to the devil. But it's funny. Woodrow Derenberger was stopped exactly at the crossroads, exactly as where he was stopped.
Wow.
It was at a crossroads. So, you kind of wonder about these things. And after I told the story about the banshee for a number of years, wailing, I never really believed it until I was woken up one early morning and I heard these three women crying downstairs, just kind of like a keening or a wailing. It was an unusual kind of crying, and I thought my daughter had left the television set on. Faded away. I go back to bed, fall asleep, wakes me up again. Sounds like three women crying. Within a day or two, my cousin, who's my age, I won't tell you how old I am, but I'm not that old.
28.
Yeah, you're close. But she had an aneurysm, and she died instantly. That was within a day or two. And the poet Yeats said that if a person is very important, the Irish poet Yeats, if a person is very important or the person is very young, three banshees will cry upon their death. And that's what it sounded like, three women. Wow. And I remember standing up there thinking, this is creeping me out. This sounds like banshees. The banshee story I've been telling,
I just got chills all over.
I know, it's creepy. I don't usually tell that on the ghost tour because it's kind of a private thing.
Yeah.
But,
wow. Well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing that with us.
Now, I do have to ask you, you go on this tour, what's your best story? We don't have much time left.
I've already told them.
You've told your best story? Okay.
Well, my
what's your favorite story, I guess?
That it's the Banshee of Martown
and
Indrid Cold. Indrid Cold is one that a lot of people are not as interested in as I am. But that's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, Jordan's a big Mothman.
I was just telling them during the break, I'm a huge fan of the Mothman now, and not like the Mothman itself, but the entire circumstance that surrounded it.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Mothman took like a backseat. It's like the sidekick of what really was going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, when that was going on, I was pretty small, but we had all kinds of poltergeist activity in our house.
Wow.
And so did the Partridges. Now they only lived a few hills away. And they were living out in Doddridge, but as I said, they live in New Martinsville now. But they also had a lot of poltergeist activity. All kinds of weird stuff was going on. And some people that were going to church one Sunday night told my mother that they were going to church. They saw a UFO hovering over our house one night.
Oh my gosh!
Like I mean, it's all together. Who can explain this? It doesn't seem to go together, but yet it does.
Wow.
Well, Susan, we only have a couple more minutes, and
okay.
I mentioned that I was going to ask you this at the end of December,
okay.
December 30th, I think, if I got the date right. We are going to have a prediction show. We're going to ask our callers to call in, tell us, what's going to happen in 2009. One thing I'm not going to say, no assassination at all. I don't want to hear anybody being assassinated.
Oh, no.
Nothing like that. You never know what people are going to call in with. But can you share a prediction with us before we get you up here?
You know what I'm doing right now? I'm looking at the chart of Barack Obama.
Okay.
And he's in under some really good aspects right now. He's in under something called a Jupiter return. This should work out very well for him. And he will probably be reelected. However, there's going to be some more embarrassing things revealed very shortly after his inauguration.
I don't want to hear he's had a girlfriend
no,
or
he's not a bad guy or anything,
okay.
but it's going to come out, and there's going to be some other things that he's going to have to deal with. But as far as his presidency is concerned, he's going to be doing very, very well these first 4 years, okay? Because interestingly, Bush was elected under a Jupiter return, and if you remember, his first 4 years actually went pretty well. It was the last 4 that all kind of fell apart.
I remember, and a lot of people forget this, but at the beginning of Bush's term, he had to deal with the Chinese downing one of our planes or making one of our planes land, and then it was kind of embarrassing, and then,
Yeah.
But, all right, well, we're going to get going. Thanks for being on the air with us. I'll put a link up to your book, Cry of the Banshee.
Right, and Haunted Parkersburg.
And we'll have them both up on the site. Thank you very much, and we're
thank
definitely
you.
going to have you back.
Susan.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everybody, that was Susan Sheppard with Haunted Parkersburg. If you want to check it out, go to our website, whispersradio.com. Click on a link, find her, look her up, go to it. Sounds like a lot of fun.
We have to go down to one of her tours.
I
She does them in October, and she said when I talked to her the first time it was in September. We actually talked to her in September.
Yeah, we did.
Because I asked her about the Blennerhaus that my wife had just came back from. So she's like, we don't go there. It's like, oh.
So, what do you think, Lo? How'd you like the...
Oh, I think she's great. I would love her to come up here and go to all the places that we think might be hot spots, because if she is a psychic, then think of the activity that would, potentially be around her.
What I would do, though, is I would blindfold the psychic, drive her somewhere, and say, hey, what's happening here? And if she could tell me what's happening there and what match up, then I'd believe. I'm a big skeptic with psychics.
But are you thinking of the psychic that can, no, obviously she's...
Nick thinks psychic and thinks Sylvia Brown.
Oh, well, no. The way she meant the term is somebody that really has the ability
tuned
to...
into the spirit world.
Yes, not to see the future necessarily.
Sure.
Because she was looking at astro charts then, just now,
Yeah, she seems more Indian spiritualist.
Well, that's like a zodiac kind of, astrology.
That's what she was doing.
So astrology. And, I'm a skeptic. I am. And that I try to keep my skepticism going into anything, just because I think that's the pure road.
I
you
would
rolled
love
your
to go.
eyes
well,
at me.
No, I did not.
I wish the camera was turned around.
No. We come at it from different ends of the spectrum. I believe, and I don't see necessarily anything that is evil about it, or that spirits are bad, or that ghosts are... I just don't, because for a lot of reasons. One, I don't believe our God is all vengeful and all that kind of stuff.
I don't either. I think he's,
So I
God of
can't
love.
imagine that children, when you see a spirit of a child, is evil and has been condemned. And I don't think it's the devil.
Any spirit of a child is evil. You need to run away.
I know how you feel about that.
I am scared
yes.
of little kid ghosts.
Nick has nightmares about children's
All
spirits.
I see is
still.
me. I go back to is it the grunge or the grudge? Yeah. The Japanese and
the little kid meowing.
I get scared half to death of that. And then the 2 little girls in The Shining, which should never have been in that movie.
Yeah, that one. Like if
even
I
the commercial, you remember the commercial with the cell phone?
We got a phone call.
My psychosis will go away.
Who we got, Lo?
Barbie.
Hey, Barb.
Hi.
What?
Hey, I agree with Lola. I cannot see I don't believe in a punishing God. I believe in one that is, just doing what he can for us.
That's...
Like she said, the child spirit, that's just... But now I need to ask you this. Do you think Sylvia Brown is for real?
No.
No?
Told you I thought they'd say that.
With so many answers.
Huh?
How do you think she comes up with so many answers? Does she, poll the audience?
Ask me a question.
She
I'll show you
phones
what
a
she
friend.
does. Ask me a question.
What do you call this? Wait a minute. There's a name.
Cold reading.
Cold reading, yeah.
Cold reading.
Is that what she does?
That's where you just shoot up generics and see if you get any kind of reaction.
You watch the faces and
Yeah, like they who was Mark Edwards? Was that his name?
John Edwards.
John Edwards.
John Edwards.
John Edwards. He was a cold reader too. You know, he'd say, "Is anybody in the crowd had?"
Or are you talking about John Randy?
No.
Okay, never mind.
John Edwards is like, who would hear their dad just passed away?
Okay, yeah,
you know, and somebody would raise their hand. Did his name start with a J? No. Okay, then it's not you. I'm thinking of a J.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody raised their hand.
Somebody else, yeah.
You know?
And if you go on to
you know, I used to think she was for real until 9/11, and I thought, well, if she's so psychic, why didn't she tell us that was going to happen?
Sure.
I did, honestly, I did.
Here's something fun. Here's something fun. If you go to like YouTube, I love YouTube. Is she still there?
Yeah. She's...
like Sylvia Brown, you know, messes up or something like that. You'll see her on like Montel, and she'll be saying, you know, there'd be a woman, her husband just died, and she's like, yes, I see him, he drowned, and she says, well, no, that's not how he died. Yeah, it is. I see him covered in water. He's drowning right now. I can see him. She says, no, he died in the Twin Towers. You know,
and there was another one where
then she still says, no, he's drowning.
There's another one where
check that out.
yeah, there's another.
Well, I did. I really thought she was awesome until that happened. And then after it happened, she said, well, I saw fire all day, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And I'm thinking, you're psychic.
Tell me about the fire. Come on, people. You know?
Yeah.
And another one with the psychics, there's a Most Haunted. If you ever watch the videos for them, and you know,
on the Travel Channel.
On the Travel Channel, but on YouTube they also have some where they'll point out, like the psychic there will say, you know, if you're here, move the table, and she'll move the table, and you see it on the camera right there. You know, and she's like, did you feel that? And I'm like, you moved it. Of course they felt it.
Yeah, you really gotta checks and balances there. I mean, I'm sure maybe there's a whim where, you know, even a broken watch is right twice a day.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's a show on now. It's just a TV show on, I don't know, one of the channels, The Mentalist. Okay. And that's what he did. He traveled around. He had a psychic show. He was supposed to be this psychic. And then I don't know what happened. But now he's with like the California Bureau of Investigation. But he uses all those tricks that he used as a fake psychic. And he's very observant. You know, it's all the things that somebody that's faking that would be looking for.
Well, see, James Randi.
Well, I like to think that I'm sensitive. Because honestly, if I get a gut feeling about something, you can bet it's going to happen.
Now, I believe in people being sensitive. I do think that there's ways.
Nuts, so.
I think that people can be sensitive.
My daughter's home for the holiday from school. She said, Mom, like West Virginia is the only place in the country's got ghosts.
Well, we got to go, you guys.
You guys be safe going home now.
Hey, thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for calling, Bob.
My only thing with Sylvia Brown is if she was real, James Randi said, I'll pay you $1 million. You come and let me test, you know, I'll set up a rigorous test. If you can prove that you're a psychic, I'll give you $1 million. Here's the check. I'll sign it over to you. She agreed to do it on Larry King. Yeah,
Still hasn't
because she's
done it.
on Larry King. I mean, you know, what are you going to say? But she's never done it.
How long ago was that? It was years.
It's been a long time.
Okay.
And you want $1 million? There you go.
Next
I'm
week,
sorry.
we got Scott Nicholson. He's an author from North Carolina. Has a lot of novels, all on like vampires, stuff like that. Should be fun. It's a little bit different. Not exactly a paranormal person, but a paranormal author, a novelist.
I think that's great.
It'd be a fun trip.
It'd be like having Anne Rice on.
Yeah.
And then after that, we have Lynn Kitty.
Dr. Lynn Kitty, who talk about the Phoenix Lights. Have you ever seen the video of the Phoenix Lights? She'll be talking about it. She was one of the people that recorded it, wrote a book, documentary. She's going to be fun.
Good.
So tune in. We will be back on Wednesday night next week, 8 o'clock.
Normal time.
Yeah.
And if you start getting predictions, start writing them down and call us at the end of the month. We can't wait.
Yeah, we want to write down all the predictions we get. That way, you know, throughout the year, as they happen, we can check them off and see if anybody's right. And
I'll come on the air and say, we got a hit.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, everybody.
Well, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone.
You too.
Very much. Be careful on the holidays. Be careful on the roads. Be with your family and have fun. Until next week, everybody, don't be afraid. Only believe.